In the mid 40s, time where you start worrying about things. I'm just gaining weight and weight every week, delaying, saying like I'm gonna do something about it, but not really doing anything about it. You know, when your body's feeling better, it's gonna impact everything that you do. You know, you see yourself different in the mirror. While we were doing the program, I had my, annual checkup, and the results were absolutely great. Like, I only got compliments from the doctors. You know, I didn't feel that I was sacrificing or depriving myself from eating something that I like. I didn't stop drinking beer, but you know.
JP, appreciate you coming on, brother. It's really kind of you to do this and to share your experience with people that might be watching this. So where I'd want to start is just give a little bit of background about yourself, you know, who you are, what you do for work, give your family situation, life situation outside of just, you know, fitness.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. And
of course, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 45 years old, married with 2 daughters. And I'm an attorney. I work for PPG. So you would guess the attorney life, even as an in-house attorney, is kind of stressful, and it deals with a lot of being sitting at the office for countless hours and traveling a lot. You know,
low stress.
Yeah, very low stress. I'm also a big beer drinker. I love drinking beer and tasting beer. So that has always been a challenge for me when it comes to weight and fitness.
And tell me more about kind of your work schedule a little bit. You know, whether travel, how many hours at the office, does it pick up with busy seasons? Tell me a little bit more about that experience.
Yeah, normally I tend to go to the office most days, even when we have that hybrid possibility. I'm one of those that only focus if, you know, I'm in the place. So for me, the office works. So I go every day, like, you know, normally from 7:30 to 5:30. But as I was mentioning, it's a lot of being, you know, just sitting down in front of the computer, drafting agreements, reviewing things.
Yeah.
So probably not the best thing. I mean, I adjusted a lot of that after the program. And I do tend to travel a lot through Latin America and other places here in the States. And you kind of procrastinate a lot. Like, you're just saying like, yeah, you know, I'm going to start early today. Then it's 6:00 in the morning. Your alarm starts to sound and you're like, yeah, probably I'll work out in the evening. And then you have a long day in the office and you're only making excuses not to do it. Absolutely.
Exactly. And then I'll just get around to this when it settles down, and then it never settles down.
It never settles down. And then you're too tired and you're like, well, but tomorrow I'll double it. And you never end up doing anything. Yeah.
So what were the main shifts you made in terms of mindset and also structure, planning ahead, so that you could succeed despite those constraints in terms of your lifestyle and your work?
I think something that, you know, I learned from the program is kind of the planning ahead. Like, you're actually able to do it if you are smart about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think there's a pretty good balance on the amount of time that is required to complete the workouts. Cause if you don't have that time, like that's a pretty, you know, lameish excuse. Like, you know, it's not a lot. It's only about, you know, fixing your schedule. Normally you tend to know what you're going to face during the week.
Yep.
So it's picking the right spots. Like, you know, Thursday is going to work for me in the evening, like then commit to that, or early Monday, or whatever you end up deciding. And you can shift along the way. But basically when you know what you need to do during the week, how much time it's going to take, I think it's easier for you to, you know, decide and schedule it just like another meeting at work.
100%.
Right.
And were there certain routines you found that helped you? For example, I'm not saying this is what you did, but a lot of guys will, you know, sit down Sunday, 5-10 minutes. Okay, here's where I'm going to do my workouts. This is what the week ahead. Every night, okay, here's what I'll kind of roughly have to eat tomorrow. Were there any routines you put in place like that really helped you out?
Yeah, mostly like trying to approach it the way I do with work, like scheduling things and, you know, blocking my calendar to say like, you know, Wednesday, 7 p.m., I'm going to be in the gym, like working out. Right. And I would say with the steps part, basically like changing your mindset and basically, you know, using every excuse you can have to walk. You know, I started parking a little bit further from the office, and instead of taking the T, I walked all the way to the office. So that added a lot of steps a day. I started doing some breakups, in between hours in the office and just walking around the floor. Like, you know, give a couple laps. It's not a lot, but it still builds. So
yeah, there's so many people that are so sedentary, and it's become so normalized in our society and our culture today. But really, the human organism is meant to walk tons of steps per day. And so we got steps, we got kind of planning ahead. What would you say were maybe like the biggest unlocks or the biggest levers, if you will, that really accelerated your results in terms of your health and fitness?
I think I had a lot of preconceptions about the gym work that were not necessarily true. I never actually liked lifting weights and whatever, because I just thought it was boring and never adjusted to it. But I never really tried, and I never really had like a strategy to go about it. So with the workouts, the way they are planned, because they are focused on upper section, lower section, the rest in betweens. And once you understand the science behind that, I think my mental approach at least was very different. And then the other thing that when you start seeing that you're capable of, lifting more weight, doing more reps, it kind of starts to engage you and be very, very,
it's fun, huh?
Motivating. Yeah, it's fun. So that was different, because in the past, my thought was like, you're just doing like this, like that all the time. What's the fun in that? But then it's like a challenge against yourself. And I kind of pair it with play. I like playing golf, and playing golf is mostly playing against yourself.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it.
So it is the same here. Like it's challenging yourself to, I'm going to put in some more weight. And sometimes you're going to see that it's not that easy, right? Like you're actually going to, stop for a little bit in a couple of weeks, because it's not that easy to just keep pushing more and more.
Yeah.
But it becomes kind of like a challenge, and I think it's a good challenge. And then pairing that with the steps, I find that it was a good balance, because I still do, some boxing and running. But I was like so drained after that, and not really losing weight, like being mostly like super hungry after it. Yeah. And I was not probably finding the right approach to do that. And I think with the steps and the weights, now I have found some space as well to throw in some, cardio, more exercises like boxing or going out golfing, whatever, but it's on top of, right?
Yeah.
So I find it like, yeah, exactly.
Okay. So before kind of embarking with us, you were doing more cardio based. You weren't really lifting weights. Afterwards, you shift to kind of prioritizing the weights, the steps throughout the day. You're doing some cardio when you have time for it, because boxing's fun. Who doesn't like boxing, right? Yeah. And then, like, what would you say were the other things you were doing beforehand that you maybe shifted away from?
I was running, trying to run more. And, I like it, but I think I now like walking better.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that it has better results on me. Not just on the weight part, like, in my breathing, in my composture, like, I feel it's just different, because the more you challenge yourself also to walk, you start feeling different.
But what about nutrition? You haven't really touched on that much yet.
Well, I was like really off with nutrition. I mean, I'm not doing great at it. And initially I thought it was going to be like the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking about reducing your calorie intake and all of that, just from, previous efforts and diets, it's this most scary part. You're feeling that you're sacrificing something, that you're not enjoying what you're doing, that you're not eating what you normally would eat.
Totally.
And then, that's the recipe for failure, because, you're going to go back to your old habits.
Yep.
And I think that the difference, that I found here is that I was able to pick things that I like, but be mindful about, the intake, the amount of calories, the follow through. And I think that makes a substantial difference, because, I didn't feel that I was sacrificing or depriving myself from eating something that I like. I was just doing it, with a strategy and more mindful of, if I'm going to do pizza Sunday, I need to adjust on my protein intake. Exactly. So, you find ways to compensate, and I didn't stop drinking beer, like, but instead of doing like, hazy IPAs, probably I shifted to Pilsner lagers.
Sure.
and reducing the amount.
Yeah.
Cause you cannot have it both ways. Like you have to commit, but there's room to do like pretty much everything. I mean, it's just how you strategize. And I think you remember there were days like I was like, full and, even in the, reduced amount of calories, like I felt, filled by midday. So sometimes for me it was challenging to actually take the whole intake. Cause I was not that used to, eat that much protein. And
yeah, I love how you talked about how, you prioritize more of the protein. and it still gives you room to enjoy the things you like.
Much more sustainable. Yeah. And, you know, switching certain things that are really not helpful, like, you know, just eating cookies, for example.
Yeah.
If you're craving for a sweet, like, you know, I'd like Greek yogurt, but I was not that much into it like the way I am right now.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect balance of something that is kind of similar to an ice cream, really tasteful, great after a meal. And it's not like just, you know, going and eating, you know, a bowl of ice cream that is just going to be fat and,
yeah.
you know.
We got some guys doing the creamy now with the Greek yogurt. People love that. I haven't tried it yet, but it seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. And so made that shift. And then what kind of, I guess, results did you get from that? You know, you lost pretty good amount of weight, but I would say even more impressive with the amount of muscle you built. And then kind of what were the things that came along with that?
I think, you know, a lot of things, but it starts with confidence because you start feeling differently. And I say that, you know, now that I reflect on it, you cannot tackle, you know, approach it as two different things. Like it's one builds the other because you start eating more protein. So you actually feel better when you're working out and your body reacts better. But what I would say, like the main result is you start, you know, you see yourself different in the mirror. So that's the first thing that, you know, and people start looking and are, you know, asking questions like, hey, are you working out? Cause that's the questions that I got the most. Not like, are you on a diet or whatever, which is what normally people would ask when you're just losing weight. So I get questions like, hey, you know, you look different. Are you working out? What you're doing?
Much better compliment.
You know? It's much better.
Hey, have you been starving yourself? You look gaunt.
Exactly. So it was different. Like you're putting, you know, some weight, but in the nice way, right?
Yeah.
You look in shape, you look better. And I think that gives you a lot of confidence, motivation. And then also when you feel that, you know, you go to the gym and you can do more, that also, you know, builds on your confidence and you feel better and you go out of your sessions, you know, in a happy mood. And, you know, I would say also the commitment, the amount of time it's important because, you know, sometimes we tend to think that we need to go, you know, 4 or 5 hours a day or double sessions to actually get in shape. And well, that's really not true. I mean, you can do it that way as well, but you also have to work and you know, there's life.
Yeah. And so you actually were kind of one of the guys who wanted to work out more. I think you were doing like 4 sessions, about 45 minutes.
4 sessions. Yeah.
Like 45 minutes each.
Yeah.
And then how many minutes a day would you say like planning nutrition took?
Really not that much. Like once I got it from the probably first, second week, I got smarter as to, you know, go and buying groceries. I knew what I wanted, you know, like, lean meat, yogurt, eggs whites. Like I figure out, you know, the best balance on the things that I like and just carry on from there. Like, cause even I thought that, you know, going out to restaurants and whatever it was going to be more difficult to make choices, but it's not really. I mean, there's always something that, unless you go to, you know, only go to McDonald's, that's going to be hard, but
even there you can get some stuff.
Even there you can get some stuff, but, you know, you start to being smarter. And then with the app, there's a lot of information and also with the ChatGPT,
that I made,
you know, Peter, where you can ask questions, it also provides great answers. So even if you're in a tough situation where, you know, you have to attend a work and lunch that you were not planning to go, you can basically, you know, plan on the go and say like, okay, I'm going to go to an Italian restaurant, like, you know, probably a salad with some grilled chicken, whatever. And like, honestly, unless you're really lazy about it, there's really not an excuse not to, you know, follow the plan through.
Yeah. Like a few minutes of planning, right? And so it seems like the biggest benefit you got was besides obviously losing the fat you did and building the muscle was the confidence you gained. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I feel much better. Okay. Like just generally. And I don't feel as tired, as I
energy as well.
Energy is like in a different level. You know, when your body's feeling better and you are actually providing it with, you know, better fuel to operate, it's going to impact everything that you do. And not that I was like grumpy before or anything, but, you know, when you eat, you know, poorly, you get like super tired after eating, you feel bloated, you feel, a little bit numb, like, you know, you just react different. So it takes just for example, a day of work after lunch, if you go to McDonald's and have a quarter pounder and fries and whatever, you want to go back and take like a 30-minute nap. You don't want to go back to, drafting agreements.
Yeah.
So it changed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to draft agreements ever. I couldn't imagine.
But if you're smarter and have, a good protein intake with some carbs, whatever, balance, you can go back to the office and you're actually going to be, and even if you, on top of that, you walk a little bit before going back to work, you're going to feel great about it.
Fire.
Like on a different place. Yeah.
And so was that the main motivation when you kind of embarked on this journey, or what kind of kicked it off for you?
Yeah, because I felt like, in the mid 40s, it's the time where you start worrying about things and started doing more like medical checkups and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, I'm just gaining weight and weight every week. And I'm just delaying, saying like, I'm going to do something about it, but not really doing anything about it. And then, seeking for those magical solutions, like I'll just eat boiled eggs for 2 weeks and then I'm going to be super lean and super healthy, which I thought.
Appreciate the humility.
And then it never works, right? Like it's not real, that there's no magical solution. Like everything in life, you have to put in some hard work and commit to it.
Totally.
So, it was more of that motivation. Like I'm in my mid 40s. I want to be healthy. I don't want to have health issues. And while we were doing the program, I had my, annual checkup and the results were absolutely great. Like I only got compliments from the doctors. So that just boosted my motivation to say like, this is the right place. This is where I want to be, not just for, 16 weeks, like, for the remainder of my life.
Yeah. And I love what you said. Like, I think that's a great piece of advice to someone who was in your shoes of like, quick fixes aren't going to work. You actually got to commit and build some real systems and actually learn the first principles behind nutrition, fitness, everything we discussed in the program. But if you were to go back, 5 months ago, what would you tell yourself back then? Like, what would be the piece of advice you'd give in terms of maybe a mindset shift or whatever? Like, what would you give to yourself or someone who is kind of in a similar position you are in potentially right now?
I think two main things. Like, first of all, you can't be so naive to think that a magical fix is going to do it for you. You name it, whether it is medicine, keto, boiled eggs, or just, after heavily eating, trying to go and do 2 hours of boxing.
Sure.
That's not going to make it. Like, you're going to be starving after that. Even if you have 3 hamburgers prior to it, cause your body is going to demand that fuel back. Exactly. So I think you have to be more honest to yourself and say hey, this is really not going to do it for the long term. The other thing is just actually do it. Like, we end up investing in a lot of things like, clothing, you name it, your smartphone, car, whatever. Invest in yourself,
Yeah, that's a great message.
The rest is nothing if you are not healthy and if you're not in a good place. And that's what cause my daughters were a big driver for me on this. Like, they were seeing me getting, chubby and they were concerned about it. And they were like, Dad, invest on yourself. Just like you like beer so much and you enjoy going out and drinking beer and tasting new beers. Like, you can also invest in doing something different. So you can do both, for the long term, right?
Wow. That's awesome. You got that support from your family.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate you sharing all this advice, your experience with me, but also anybody who's going to be watching this. I think it's going to be super helpful. And I got one last question for you. Mm-hmm. How did you grow such a good mustache? I'm on day 2, really trying to get up to your level.
Yeah, I know. Like, you need to have some patience. I would say don't touch it for probably a couple months. And then once it's in a good shape, then you can go fix it at the barber shop. But
perfect.
It's a game of patience, man. Yeah. No easy fix, just like
no easy fix, just like fitness. Good man.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate that advice. Thank you so much. Cheers, dude.
Have a good one.